Every single year in the United States, between 2,000 and 3,000 people receive a devastating diagnosis, a fatal disease called mesothelioma. Most cancers are an unpredictable genetic lottery, but mesothelioma operates differently. It has exactly one known cause. That means every single diagnosis can be traced back to a specific moment of industrial exposure. The tragedy lies in the timeline. Victims inhaled the culprit decades before they ever felt a cough or a shortness of breath, living their lives with a ticking biological clock they didn't know was running. This chart reveals the massive legal consequence of that single disease. For those 2,000 to 3,000 annual victims, over $35 billion is currently locked away in trust funds strictly designed to compensate them and their families. This immense financial stockpile serves as a direct mathematical reckoning for the largest delayed reaction corporate crime in industrial history. The sole culprit is asbestos. It is a naturally occurring mineral that forms into microscopic, practically indestructible fibers. Human biology is designed to break down most foreign objects, but these fibers are a distinct anomaly. When you breathe them in, they do not dissolve, and they do not naturally pass through your system. Instead, they sink deeply into your organ linings. They forcefully embed themselves into the tissues surrounding your lungs, a condition doctors call pleural mesothelioma. They can also lodge permanently in the lining of the abdomen, the heart, or the testicles. Once embedded, the fiber remains there for 30 or 40 years, causing constant irritation. That chronic damage triggers abnormal cell growth, slowly expanding into a fatal tumor mass. Because this biological reaction takes decades, the initial exposure event is entirely forgotten by the time symptoms like severe breathing issues or nausea finally appear. Consequently, doctors rarely detect the cancer until it has reached its late invasive stages. Corporations made a calculated business decision to flood industrial air with these fibers, prioritizing profit over the biological safety of their workforce. Researchers explicitly linked asbestos exposure to cancer in 1934. By the 1950s, executives at the top manufacturing firms were fully aware of the lethal risk their materials posed. Knowing the science, these corporations chose to keep relying on asbestos to cut manufacturing costs, placing thousands of blue-collar workers directly in harm's way every day, without any respiratory protection. The exposure blanketed specific industries. Shipbuilders and commercial construction workers were surrounded by the dust on massive job sites. The material was so ubiquitous that railroad workers, aircraft mechanics, and military personnel handled it systematically throughout their entire careers. The danger also followed them home. Unsuspecting workers carried the microscopic fibers on their coveralls and boots, inadvertently exposing their spouses and children, who would develop secondhand mesothelioma decades later. A half-century of suppressed scientific data means that a mesothelioma diagnosis today is clear, undeniable proof of gross corporate negligence. Because industrial giants intentionally hid these dangers, the modern legal system is structured to heavily favor the exposed victims. This graphic illustrates exactly what victims are entitled to recover. They can claim millions of dollars to cover past diagnostic expenses, comprehensive lifelong medical care, and massive non-economic damages like pain and suffering. We see this accountability playing out in actual courts. Laborers, mechanics, and construction workers have successfully secured lawsuit settlements and trust fund payouts nearing $3 million. But the biological reality creates a strict deadline. Late-stage mesothelioma moves incredibly fast, leaving victims with a rapidly closing window to investigate their employment history and file a legal claim. Hiring a specialized firm equipped with an entire mesothelioma division, like Bailey Cowan Heckaman PLLC, provides the vast historical knowledge required to trace the exposure. It is the final, necessary step to force negligent corporations to pay for the decades of health they stole.